kids swim.
Okay, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Hendel. I'm a dual den leader of 2 dens with Pack 108. To my right here is Denise Kugler. She's one of our assistant cub masters and also a den leader with Pack 108. We're here today to honor Mr. Oscar Jones, who's one of Fort Mill's first Eagle Scouts. Oscar Jones was born in 1926. Is that right? You don't look it. And he was born in a house on Tom Hall Street, which is where the bank is now. When he became a Boy Scout, the first Scoutmaster that he reported to was a man by the name of L.D. Carruthers. Then, John McElhaney, did I get that right? Thank you, sir, took over. As a Boy Scout, Mr. Jones here was a member with his younger brother, and they were presented their Eagle Scout honors at the same night. Reason for that, we typically will run a court of honor that recognizes one Eagle Scout at a time, but back then they didn't have all the system all set up the way we do now, so the both of them were honored at the same time at the court of honor. Oscar was a patrol leader, and your troop number, sir, was?
38.
Troop number 38, which is one of the original troops here in the Fort Mill area, and there's quite a few of them that are still currently active. 108, 250, 219, and no, that's right, 333 Cub Scouts. Very good. Oscar remembers as a troop patrol leader, he was grouped in with some gentlemen named Bob Martin, Jimmy Case, Ben, is it Audrey? And Jimmy Cook, and of course Jimmy Jones being your brother, sir. He enjoyed their jamborees. Now back then, they did major function for the war effort. They collected newspapers. Not like the recycling bins that we have out today. They actually went out there and knocked on people's doors and asked for their newspapers, and all those were turned in, as well as tin cans and much other items that were valuable to the war effort, correct? That was a great public service that you did, sir. And of course, working on his badges, as you can see from his uniform posted over there, he still has all of his badges and he earned them all. The Scouts back then did not have a regular place to meet. They approached Colonel Elliott Springs and asked, and he gave them permission to cut down trees. I can just imagine these boys nowadays having to go and ask permission to cut down trees to make the lumber to build their scout hut. We're very blessed to have our sponsorships with various churches and activities in the area that give us the room to do what we need to do. But you got to hand it to the pioneers like this that went out and actually cut down trees and built their own scout houses and scout huts. They got the wood from Unity Street and built their scout hut behind the trees came from behind the old armory, and they built their scout hut behind which is now Unity Presbyterian Church cemetery that's behind there. So things have changed quite a bit over the years, haven't they, sir? Oscar said his years as a scout taught him some valuable lessons. Well, obviously he's still with us here today, so he's learned some fantastic lessons. And each one of these boys here have a lot to learn from the knowledge and wisdom of Mr. Jones here. I'm also being told that he became a volunteer fireman as a teenager. He was a fireman when Fort Mill got its first fire truck. What'd you do before then? Bucket patrol?
It was just a little truck right on Confederate Street.
Yep.
One of these buildings. Just barely fit in there. It was a small truck way back.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. I'm also being told that Oscar's grandfather owned the grocery store where the Fort Mill Times is now. This building right here. What was the name of the store, sir?
L. Jones Grocery. But it's next building.
Oh, this one right here? Very good.
Jewelry store, cafe. Next.
And that was the only grocery store in town.
They had about 10 on up the street. A&P, Winn-Dixie, McCorders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very good. Their father was also principal of Fort Mill High School and then became the superintendent of Fort Mill School. So you had to get along, and you behaved yourself in school, didn't you, sir?
Well.
You heard about it if you didn't you? Well, in honor of recognizing you as one of Fort Mill's first Eagle Scouts, we were going to present you today with this Eagle Trophy. And for those of us from Pack 108 and Troop 108, we'd like to give you a Scout salute, sir. Boys, Scout 2. Scout rest. Good job, boys. Thank you for all that you've done, and thank you for all that you continue to do, sir.
Yep. There was a family out here in the country, Sam Smith. And I don't know, I was crazy wet back in those days. I asked to borrow his mules, 2 mules, and a wagon. And we were around the town collecting paper. Now, I can't remember how, I guess he or one of his sons brought the wagon in town and mule, but they left them with us. They trusted us way back then. and we did, we collected the paper and turned it in Charlotte. I believe we had to take it to Charlotte up there.
All the way up to Charlotte?
Yeah, and the fellow, Jake Audrey, he had a truck around a lumber company over here on the corner, and he took it up there. But I guess we had a lot of nerve or gall or whatever, because we were city people trying to take 2 mules and a wagon to collect paper.
Okay, Mr. Jones, just tell me about life back then when you were a boy and being in the Scouts back then. What was it like back then?
Being a scout, well, we grew up, and in the summertime we went barefooted as quick as we could. And one of our favorite places was Mill Pond down on Steel Creek. And we walked down there. It was a dirt road way back in those days. And as I said earlier, we learned to swim down there. And it's a wonder, some of us hadn't drowned years and years ago, but the Lord looked after us and we survived. I don't remember any fatalities ever down there. And up here above, well, what we call the City Hall now, they used to have a siren up there. And it would blow every day, Monday through Saturday at 12 o'clock. And when we heard that siren when we were down in Mill Pond, we knew it was time to get home for lunch then. They call it maybe dinner now, but it was lunch back then, and we had breakfast, lunch, and supper back in those days. And I don't remember when I got interested in Scouts, but Unity Presbyterian Church had a troop. And as well as I remember, we didn't have but 2 patrols. And Bill Bradford, the editor of the Fort Mill Times way back, he had a brother named Robert that was my age. We were classmates. And he was the other patrol leader. And we had a big rivalry there, but I had the best patrol. And like I said, out of my patrol, we had 2 doctors and real good businessmen. And Jimmy was an engineer, textile engineer, graduated from Clemson. And like I said, Audrey and Martin were doctors. And Jimmy Cook was a businessman. The Case fellow was a businessman. And there was another one they left out, a Curtis Wilkerson, and he was a jeweler. And so I just had an exceptionally good patrol. But we had good people back in those days. I can't remember a Stegall fella was swimming for, let's see, what is it? Not Eagle, well, merit badges for Eagle Scout, but tenderfoot, second class, first class, the 3rd rank. And then there's this fellow, Lee Carruthers, which was also the scoutmaster. A fellow Macklin, he was an Ezra Munn. And I can't remember all the others that you went to pass your merit badges. They had different people for different categories. And I remember going down to Nims Lake on 2 or 3 what they called camporees. You went down, the other scouts came in from other cities, and you camped out a couple of nights down there, had a competition. I don't remember exactly what it was now, but we had competition, but it was down at Nims Lake. And then my patrol, that I would take them up to the dam, Lake Wiley, but we called it the old dam when they had 10 or 15 houses out there. And back in those days, you could walk across the dam freely from the Fort Mill side to the Rock Hill side, but they had a big pasture out in front of all these homes, and we would go down there and set up our pup tents and spend a night or two down there, put in trot lines, but we just had a good time, good clean time.
Well, the troops that honored you today, how'd you feel about it? How did it make you feel for them to give you this honor, the Eagle?
I don't deserve it because of this. I have a good many regrets. I worked for Celanese on swing shifts, and I could never give the time, to be a scoutmaster, but my brother did. He picked up, I guess, where I left off, up at Unity. He was a scoutmaster up there for a good many years. And then there was another fellow at Unity named Orange Sullivan. He was a scoutmaster there for a good many years. But I was never able to participate after I graduated from high school, went into service and came back and went to Celanese, and we were on swing shifts. And you know what I'm talking about? You were on first shift one week, next week the second shift, next week the third shift, and you didn't have the time to participate. But I helped out whenever I could, but I give my brother a lot of credit. He was able to do more after becoming an Eagle than I was. And I've always, regretted it, but it was nothing really I could do about it.
Well, if you had one thing you could tell the Scouts of today, with the wisdom that you've accumulated over the years, what would you tell them? Just one thing to lead your life by.
Just to be honest and truthful. Just to be honest and truthful and be who you are. Yeah. There's so much deception in the world today. You just don't understand it. But just be honest and truthful.
Well, did you, when you became an Eagle Scout, what was it like having to go through all the different things to reach that level? What was it like going through that to become an Eagle Scout?
Well, back then we were a small town, and people didn't make a lot over it. Let's put it that. We went on with our lives and everything. It was just an honor or plateau you had gained, and others were. Now I don't know how many Eagles have been commissioned or what since then, but a good many. There was another fellow named Charlie Thrower. He belonged to the Nazarene Church, well, the Methodist Church, and then changed to the Nazarene Church. And he was a scoutmaster for a long time, and he became an Eagle. And there just been lots of Eagle Scouts since then. I don't know how many, but in our church down here at First Baptist, I can't remember the boy's name, but we've had several there. And when I found out they were Eagles, I'd go and talk to them and everything, and congratulate them and everything. But like I said, we were a small town way back then, and it was just something that you strive for. And like I said, I sort of lost out with the newcomers and everything.
Well, looking back at your experience as a scout, as you have gone through the years, what have you taken with you and used the most from your scouting experiences in your day-to-day life?
Well, to be persistent, not to give up. Some of the merit badges were harder to obtain than others, but you just had to be persistent and keep trying and everything. I don't ever remember failing any of them on the first attempt because I studied hard, and prepared. And but that's what I gained mostly, I think.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate the time.
All right.